Hi, today we're going to talk about how to declutter when you don't know where to start. First, I'm going to share a story about a recent client who didn't know where to start and how we got through that. And then I'm going to talk about some overall tips for what to do. Then, some very concrete steps to try if you're still struggling. And then, lastly, I'm going to go over some very specific information and strategies for people who find themselves collecting many items where someone around them might think that they have a problem, or even if the person is wondering themselves, what's wrong with me, or do I have a problem with collecting too many items. So I just wanted to start with a story of a recent client that I was helping in Fairview Park, Ohio. That's in Greater Cleveland. And we were working actually in a storage area. So it was not stuff that they used all the time. It was more storagey. And some of it was sentimental items, which that can be challenging. Usually it's more sentimental items that people really get stuck on. But she did a great job, like clearing out things that she knew. There were some curriculum books that were just old, and she really recognized like these are too old to be good to anyone. So they're not even really donatable at that point. Which is part of why I think if you know you're not going to use something for the foreseeable future, donating it or giving it away as quickly as possible is actually the best for the environment, because then it could be used before it goes out of date. There's so many things, technology, books, like certain more curriculum books or reference books, things that go out of date or even out of style, and then no one wants them. Whereas if you are able to donate them or sell them quickly, someone else would pick that right up and use it. That's an aside. The reason I brought up this client though is she said to me, I tried to work on this for, when without you here. And she's like, I really couldn't make any progress. That being said, she is really great at making decisions. And so what I was doing was just really facilitating. I would pull out the next batch of things for her to look at. I would make sure we have the trash bag ready to go, convenient right by her feet. When it got full, I'd get out the next trash bag. When she decided to keep things, then I was storing them nicely. They were going into storage bins. Putting them in nicely, categorizing them, labeling the storage bins, putting them into a stack. The goal is it's a moving client, so they're preparing things to move. But the idea is, once you can make the decisions, then it's not that hard to know what to do. And sometimes you just need the accountability partner. You need another person to really help you get going. And with that help, that hand holding, that facilitation, sometimes that's just what people need. I wanted to briefly talk about Gretchen Rubin's The Four Tendencies. If you aren't familiar with that, I love it. To me, I've tried a lot of personality quizzes and information out there, and it's just the most effective and best information. And they're basically, people fall into one of four categories for their personality, and one of them, really what people need, is an accountability partner. I just think that my client probably has that personality type. And again, recognizing who you are, what you need, and then getting that so that you can be successful is worth it. So I wanted to go into some overall tips, right? This is sort of like easiest to hardest, right? So you're not having too much trouble. This is the first video you're looking at. So when you don't know where to start with easy stuff. People will call me, they're worried about sentimental items. You probably have many excess items in your home or where you live that are not sentimental, that are easily replaceable, maybe even inexpensive. Those are the things that you should start with. When all of those things are decluttered, you might not care so much about the sentimental stuff because there's room for it. It might not matter. Everybody has sentimental stuff. But B, it's just like you have to build up your muscles. So start with easy things. like, don't make it hard on yourself. If you, sometimes we'll go into a room with a client and they say, oh, when I look around, I know there's a bunch of stuff that I want to get rid of in here. Great, let's pull those things out. Let's start with that. Similarly, there's another organizer. I believe it's her brand is A Slob Comes Clean, and she has lots of videos in that. And she says, "Duh, donations," right? So it's sort of like the stuff. Again, it's just saying the same thing. It's so easy. Duh. Of course I want to donate that. Of course we don't need that anymore. My kid is 12 and I don't need our 6-year-old toys. Oh, I used to run in my 30s and now I'm in my 50s and I haven't run in a decade. Of course I don't need that stuff anymore. Those are the things, oh, that old hobby that you're not doing anymore, that old decor that you haven't wanted out in 5 years. Those are the easy things. Get that stuff out of there. Similarly, grabbing a trash bag and just walk around your house and look for trash. Things that are broken, and we all have this, right? Those projects that you're never doing. Like, oh, I could fix this. Oh, I could glue this handle back onto the mug and someone might want it. If it's been more than like 6 months, just be realistic with yourself. If you're really good at doing projects, great. But otherwise, let it go. It broke. That's sad. As long as it's not like your wedding mug or your grandmother's mug that they brought over on the boat from wherever, just let it go. So stuff that's broken, ripped, torn, and we see that all the time. Oh, I want to donate my couch. Is it in good shape? There's a giant hole in it from my dog. Nobody wants your couch if there's a giant hole in it. And that's like, I know there's lots of feelings about this, right? Like, there are people in need. I don't need it. It's still in good shape. We're still using it, right? And like, where the hole came from, so maybe you're more okay with it. But like, it's trash. That's the unfortunate news. There are so many items. I once heard a stat that we have enough clothing today, and this was like a year ago, so it's probably even more, to clothe 6 future generations of people. There's so much clothing in the world. There's just so much. We're overproducing. We're a consumption culture, across the globe, right? We're overproducing. We're over-consuming. So, if it's trash, it's trash. And that, there's nothing we can do about that. Okay, you can tell there's a soapbox I could stand on all day. Okay, so those are sort of the easy, like broad, okay, maybe you know how to get going now. Grab a trash bag, donations, start with the easy stuff. Places where you don't have a lot of feelings. The car, the bathroom, the linen closet, maybe the kitchen. Places where you're already annoyed, where there's too much stuff and it's easy to get rid of some things. Okay, now is my advice for the person. It's a little harder, right? You've kind of tried that stuff and you're like, no, I actually need more advice or more tips. Okay, narrow your focus. So usually people get decision fatigue when they're like, there's so much going on. I don't know, if I have a giant pile of clutter or stuff and it's like, okay, I don't know what to do with this. Like, your eye is everywhere. You don't know what to look at. You want to narrow it down. Pick up one item. Pick up one, like, look, oh, here's a brochure that's been sitting on my desk. The Yogi Rewards for camping. Okay, do I need, so now I'm narrowing down the focus, narrowing down the decision. Of course you want to, I think it goes without saying, you want to be like well fed, right? Don't be hungry, don't be thirsty, don't be wearing an uncomfortable sweater. Like, you want to be comfortable and present. It's like the morning of a big test at school. Like, eat your breakfast, be well rested, wear something comfortable, because you need to focus on this, okay? If you've had a hard day at work, it's not the right time to declutter. No. So, you're picking up the one item and you're trying to make a decision about this one item. So stop thinking about the, 40 other things that are around you. You're going to make a decision on this one item. And the question is, do I want to keep this? Do I want to get rid of it? That's really the first question. Do I want to keep this or do I want to get rid of it? I'm hoping to sign up for this, so I'm going to keep it. That's what's happening. But if you want to get rid of it, then it's just like, is this trash? Or like, is it in good shape? Would someone else use it? and just being really realistic, like someone not you, fresh eyes. Would your neighbor come over and be like, that's a good item, I'll take it? Or they'd be like, that's garbage. And then, do some, place it into the trash can, put it in a pile or a bag or a box to donate, or I'm keeping it. And then you can just start making a little keep pile. So if you're really struggling, I would suggest on day 1, try to do it with 5 items. And that might be enough. Like, give yourself grace. This is not easy. 5 items. So do that with 5 items. Make the decision. So that's really the biggest thing of starting, is making the decision. There's too many, I think the big thing that the hang up for people when they say, I don't know where to start, it's like, I picked up this item and I don't know what to do with it. So like from before, that might not be an easy item. So maybe that's not where you should be starting at all. Like, are you starting in the right room, with the right category of stuff? Easy. And then if you're still struggling, that's okay. So I'm like, I don't know. So you can do, maybe try something else. So when you've gotten through 5 items, if you have, I don't know items, here are some ideas and things to consider. So one idea is to phone a friend, and I'm saying phone a friend, but it really means anyone. Get outside, consult, whether that's your partner, maybe your child, if they're of an age that they can talk to you like a rational human being, not like my young daughter who just screams at me. No. But, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's a colleague at work that you trust and, know on a personal level. Maybe it's a neighbor, a friend, someone that you're like, hey, I'm trying to do this declutter thing and I'm sort of struggling. Here's 3 things, or here's 5 things I pulled out and I just am not sure what to do with them. Could you talk me through it? Or could we talk it through together? Sometimes that's super helpful because we feel something is so important, and having the outside perspective lets you realize that either yeah, it's a good idea to keep it, or nobody has that, or it's normal to have 1 but not 5, or whatever it is. That outside perspective is so helpful. When my kids were little and I was stressed out, as most moms are when their children are little. If you are a young mom or know someone, please support them because everybody's stressed. But I love to go to play dates and baby gatherings. The thing that was the most helpful to me in being there, and I like to be social and all that, but it reminded me how normal it was that I was stressed out, and how normal everything my baby was doing, or my toddler that was driving me crazy, how normal that stuff was, how common. Everyone's going through that. And being able to that camaraderie, oh my gosh, we had a total meltdown last night at bedtime, and the other mom's like, we did too. Or we had a great night last night, but the last 3 days before that were meltdown. I know what you mean. I think that there's a lot of value in talking it through with someone who knows you that you trust and is kind. We're looking for a kindness person, not someone who's going to yell at you or call you stupid or make you feel dumb for being unsure. That's not the right helper. You're looking for someone who's kind and helpful and nice. So that's what I want to say. I might have ballet shoes, and I'm not doing ballet. That's the secret, right? But, a friend who knows me well, I'm like, oh, I have these ballet shoes. I used to do ballet. Maybe I'll do it again. And they'll kind of be like, Devon, I love you. You're not going to do ballet again. And I'd be like, you're right. I know. So just some of that is really helpful. That kind of leads me into my next one, which is called fantasy self. When I give presentations, I love to tell this story. We had a family friend, and they had a boat in their garage. And it was not a huge boat because it fit in the garage, and it was probably a 2-car garage. And they had like a van, for their family that also was always in the garage. So it wasn't, and then they had, 100 bikes and, like all the stuff that we all have in our garages. So it wasn't like a huge boat. It was a small boat. I don't know if you'd call it a fishing boat or whatever. Maybe it had a small motor, not a sailboat. But anyway, I remember seeing that boat, and, we were talking about it not that long ago, and they said, my dad got it. He thought I would take the kids fishing. They had a large family, a lot of kids. They were always doing activities. I mean, we went to the beach and the pool, and we were at football games and basketball, and, we were always doing stuff with them. They did a lot of stuff with their kids all the time. He said, how many times did we go out in the boat? Zero. And then 10 years later, he sold the boat. And that story is really about fantasy self, right? We all get excited. We think, I'm going to be the person who does this. And sometimes we do it, and sometimes we don't. And sometimes we buy stuff, and then we don't use it. And that's okay, right? Like, again, kindness. It's okay. That happens. That happens to all of us. We all buy things at one time or another in our life that we don't actually use, or we didn't use as much as we thought we would, or we used a lot for a little while, and then the season of life changed and we didn't continue to use it. So fantasy self is sort of, am I actually realistically going to use this item, or is that kind of a fantasy? And just getting real with yourself about the truth of the matter. A few more questions that can help you if you're like, I don't know what I should do with this thing. I don't know. How do I feel when I look at it, right? Similarly, am I keeping this out of guilt or obligation? Sometimes people have things and they're like, I can't get rid of this because my mother-in-law gave it to me, right? And maybe you have a bunch of stuff from your mother-in-law. She's alive and well. And you're like, we don't have the same taste. This picture frame I think is ugly, but I can't get rid of it. Everyone's relationship is different, and I'm not here to ruin your relationships. And sometimes maybe you do have to keep stuff and pull it out occasionally to be like, look, here's your picture frame. But a lot of stuff, if you're keeping it out of guilt or obligation, I would suggest finding a way to quietly let it go. Sometimes you can ask the person, like, hey, I know you gave me this thing. I kind of tried it. It wasn't for me. Would you like it back? Are you okay if I pass it on? Usually the person's like, yep. Like they don't really care. They bought it for you with intention of, because they love you, because they care about you, because they want you to be happy. And so if you're stressed about something, it's just, that is a feeling that's going to repeat over and over and over every time you look at it, and sometimes even not looking at it. So I really suggest we only keep items that make us feel positive. You can see my dog walking around in the background. She's like, hurry up, let's get on to something else. I just want you to come back to what's your goal or intention. And sometimes it's the overarching goal, like I really like this item, but my goal is having a more usable living room. So does keeping this item fit with that goal of having a usable living room? So you have to revisit that goal or intention. And sometimes that's the thing, okay, yeah, it's a great pillow, but I already have 10 other pillows. And if I want a really functional living room, I'm going to have to get rid of this. So another question that you could ask is, when's the last time I used it? So just thinking about realistically, when did you actually use it? I don't have a hard and fast rule, if I used it in the last year or not, but it's information to consider when you're thinking about what decision to make. And then lastly, I wanted to bring up the 20/20 rule, which is if an item can be gotten, a lot of the items that we're keeping just in case can be gotten within about 20 minutes of your home for $20 or less. So the idea is just that if that's true for the item, if it's probably costs about $20 or less and is widely available, close to your home, you can probably get rid of it with confidence that you could get it again if you actually needed it. I wanted to lastly talk a little bit about some information for people who might be really struggling with collecting many things. You may be wondering, am I a hoarder? Or, am I struggling with hoarding disorder? Or just maybe you like to collect things, or maybe other people in your life have made it seem like you have a problem or think you have a problem, whether or not you do. If you're struggling with decluttering, this is sort of the section or the information for you. So there is a word. What I see happening with folks like this generally is that they really do struggle with making the decisions. And there is a word for that. When you kind of pick something up, don't really make the decision, and you put it over here. And then you pick something else up and you don't really make a decision, you put it over here. And you kind of keep doing that, and you could do that for hours or days. And the person would say, it's not working, right? I'm not making any progress. There's a word for that. It's called churning. It's churning. So it's like a butter churn. But the idea is that things are going around and around, like a tornado. It's just going around and around, but there's nothing really exiting. You're not making any decisions, and so you're not improving things. You're really just moving things from one pile, kind of saying, oh, I'm not sure what to do, and kind of putting them over here. So if you're struggling with that, the answer is you've got to just one thing and make a decision. And that's why 5 things might be plenty to work on at first. There is research. It's very interesting that people who collect really see the value in everything. And so the parts of the brain that are like, yes, I can do something with that, and this is a good item, those are lighting up a lot more than, when I pick up something. So I'm like, oh, this is garbage. And I mean, I love a good recycle, upcycle, reuse, craft project. I love all that stuff. But, I'm picking something up. I'm like, okay, this is a recyclable. Let me put it in the recycling bin. Someone else might be like, ooh, an art teacher can use that and they can do this, with their kids, blah, blah, blah. They're really seeing the value, and that, it's true. Their brain is telling them there is value here. And it's not that there's not value. It's just that if you live in a home where you have the space to collect things that have value, which is everything, great. But if you're in a situation where you need to declutter for your own self, for your health and safety, maybe you're living with other people and they're saying you have to declutter, whatever the case may be, it's not that item no longer has value. It's just that you can't keep living with this volume of items, and so then you have to make those decisions. And so recently we're at a home of a woman who was quite a collector. We took 3 carloads of recyclables to the recycling center. So she saw the value. She spent a lot of time and energy cleaning out glass jars that they had used in their kitchen, and they were it was fully washed. It was washed, not a crumb of food on it, tons of them, bags and bags and bags of them. She saw the value. She was like, these are good jars, and I cleaned them out and prepared them, and they're ready. But it was just getting over the hump of getting it to the recycling center that, whatever, that got lost in translation. So we were able to help her with that. We were able to load up the cars and get that to the recycling center. It's not that it's not valuable. It's just we can't continue to live like this. And so we have to do something. So the other thing I wanted to say is how to overcome this. So what's happening a little bit different, here's a coaster my daughter made for me. It says, I love mom on it. This is sentimental. I wouldn't get rid of this. But, pretend that it wasn't that, right? It's something less important, and I have tons of them and I got to get rid of it. What happens is people say, if I get rid of this, I feel like I'm going to die. Now, I know in my brain I'm not going to die, right? I'll be fine. But in my heart and my body, it feels that way. It feels, the emotion and the distress is so high that it's like, I can't get rid of it. Okay. So what we need to do is rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. How distressed do I feel like getting rid of this? I would give this like an 8. I really think it's sweet that she made it, and I love it, and it's very personal. And I would give it an 8. And also, if I have too much stuff, I'm getting rid of it. And what you want to do is set a timer for 10, 15, even 20 minutes. And when the timer goes off, now that time has passed, you want to say, and you might need a friend to help you with this or write it down, okay, that's the timer for my tile, for my my coaster. How do I feel now? And in 20 minutes, and hopefully, keep kind of doing your thing or whatever. Hopefully my distress level now is at like a 5 or maybe even a 4. And then you can even set a longer timer, like a 10-hour timer or a 24-hour timer. Okay, how do I feel now about that coaster? Maybe it's a 1 because I've gotten rid of 30 more things in that meantime. Or it's a 10 and then maybe I shouldn't have gotten rid of it, And can you pull it back? But the idea is you are going to feel distress at getting rid of things. And so that's why you want to get rid of easy, replaceable items. And you have to experience the distress and also learn that it's going to get better. And the next time you go to do it, instead of an 8, maybe it's a 7. Maybe not the next time. Maybe the first 100 items you're at an 8, but then the next 100 items you're at a 7. And now you're beginning to see some progress. And now you're at a 6. Okay, it's going to get easier. So what's tricky is if you have something, like I said, something not sentimental. I'm not talking about your wedding photos. I'm not talking about something your grandfather has passed down heirloom through the family. I'm talking about, a plastic basket from the dollar store. You're like, I feel like an 8 if I get rid of this. What's happening is your body is giving you like almost like an incorrect message of like, whoa, but in reality, you don't need the basket, right? And probably your brain knows that. And so you have to come through that feeling and begin to learn that, hey, body, that feeling is not accurate. That's not correct, and sort of begin to retrain your body like, I'm still safe. It's okay for me to let this go. Anyway, that's like, that could be a whole nother video. But hopefully you feel like you have much better information of how to declutter when you don't know where to start. I'd love to hear if there's other things you're struggling with and see how I might be able to help you with those. And if you're in the Cleveland area, give me a shout out because I'd love to chat with you. Take care. Bye.